Bam and bam. Hey, welcome to Houston. We have a problem. We're at show 77. Holy smokes. Well, we have some news that popped up today, and of course I forgot to put the stupid link in the doohickey majigger. But looks like the shorts are being reported finally. So that tells me that a whole bunch of FTDs have resulted in folks not being able to keep pushing off, keep hiding their short positions, and they had to go out and borrow shares. And we're sitting at something like 70 million reported shares borrowed, which is absolutely nuts. And of course, I forgot to get the link, so we just go to... All right. You go away. You go to there. We scroll down to... Where is it? There it is. Okay. So, this is from Ali Noman. Oh, I forgot to put you on my thingy. And Chrome. And... There it is. Bam. Whoops. Wait, you're not on. Oh, no, there we go. Okay, so this is from Noman Ali. He has a little thread going where on various reporting sites, just in this basically month, reports of short positions have skyrocketed. So, you know, crazy. Oh, look at that. We closed all of our positions. We're fine. And then all of a sudden, oh, there we go. That's a better picture. Then, you know, everything's nuts. We're at over 70 million shares borrowed. Then everything's fine. We're totally cool. We're at 10% borrow. Oh, no. And so it was on several different financial sites. This was seen. Somebody on Superstonk. M. Willie 424, I guess, was the first one reported. So I should get credit where credit is due. And we're rocking and rolling, man. Also, New York Stock Exchange reported. Which one's this? This is Apple News. What is this one? I don't know which one this is. But yeah, it's right back up there again. So short positions are gone just bonkers, and that's where we are. We are in short position land. Boom. Oh, you mother... God damn it. It's okay. You guys are happy. You guys are happy about my stupid face. Okay. We have... Goodness gracious. Super chat. Mind the intro, Houston. Oh, thank you for that. Now I'm seeing that. Thank you, ABP022. For a moment too late. Okay. That's all the news I had. Friday ate shit. And then today they're pretending like everything's fine again. No, it's all normal. Everything's back to normal. Stocks are trading normally. We are just not going to pay attention to the fact that Fantasia and Evergrande are both going into bankruptcy and hundreds of billions in bonds aren't going to be paid. And that there's a giant sickness in the Chinese bond market that is malignant and it is spreading fast. There basically isn't a company in China where the bonds are not in junk status at the moment. Even the healthiest companies, the bonds are trading at like 96% of value, which is not the best news. There's a whole bunch that are trading at 20% or below their paper value because they know that it's not going to get paid back. So China has got this big malignant tumor that's spreading through its real estate and corporate bond markets. We still have to wait to see how it shakes out. I wonder if a lot of the news is going to get reported at the end of the year, or I guess after the first, because that's when a whole bunch of these banks are going to have to write off. They're like, "Woo, we have to write off all this stuff." And they're going to say, "Hey, we're out tens or hundreds of billions of dollars on a whole bunch of these bond plays in China." And then it's going to catch up again all through next year as it gets worse and worse. And China will probably see a dearth of investment from outside groups. As if they can't pay off their bonds, people aren't going to invest in their companies, and people aren't going to invest in their companies. They're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's up. Yeah, it's all right. Going to the chat. Thamata, has anyone explained why a reverse split wouldn't work to clean up synthetics? I mean, a split of any kind, reverse or the other way, would probably do a good job because it requires a CUSIP change, and CUSIP change oftentimes requires those that have lent out to recall their shares. Yeah, because they need to keep their books clean. So, why not? AMC should do a reverse split for sure. Maybe GME does like a 5-to-1 regular split. But I don't know if they're going to be doing any of that. They seem to be focused on a lot of other things at the moment. Okay. And there's 1337 gaming. Tell me to turn off my intro. My intro's off now. And then turn on the intro. Thank you for, yes, all the constant and infinite birthday wishes. One of these days, you guys are going to get it right. You're going to get it. You're going to get my birthday one of these days. It's going to happen. You know it. I know it. I was born at some point. Oh, super chat from Just Methods. Oh, thank you for super chat. Even though you can ask a question, I will answer things. Why are you looking at me like that, dog? Because I won't let you chew your bone? Is that why? He's like, I won't let you chew your bone? Okay. All right. Marco Garcia, we're going to see an anniversary squeeze when the hedgies clients leave with their money? That's a very real possibility. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them have left with their money. They're like, I'm out. I'm out, Melvin. You can't manage my money anymore. Get out of here. And Melvin lost like 50% of its assets under management because their clients just pulled out and had to sell that stuff to give them their money back. Okay. All right. 40-ounce Oracle has given us coordinates. So let's see where they're taking us. All right. Scene. Google Earth. Nope. Oh, you biscuit. All right. Come on. There it is. There we go. Where are we going? We're going over here. I can't remember where we started. We're in the U.S. somewhere. We are going to a roadside attraction of some kind on a road somewhere. Are you taking me to a feed store? Where are we? Get in there. Get in there. Keep going. Warm. Okay. Got some empty billboards. Got drive-in. We got pizza. We got a canoe. Why am I here? What on earth am I here for? Why'd you send me here? 40-ounce Oracle. Is it good pizza? I don't know. What's that say? Zarte River pizza. All right, there's some pizza. Have at it. That is the least exciting place I have been to in quite some time. This is the type of place they drop me off in GeoGuessr, and they'd be like, "Where are you?" I'd be like, "I don't know." Okay, well, that was that. Woo! Hopefully, someone will send me a better one. You guys and your boring ass places you keep sending me. All right. Hey, super chat. Adrian, I keep watching the video of you and the gist. It's crazy how you called it. Any prediction for what's to come? Woo. I mean, I'll be honest. I thought all this stuff was going to play out a lot sooner than it has. They really put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. But we're approaching the end of the fiscal year. of the calendar year, and quarter four for a lot of folks, and a lot of reporting is going to have to get done. And a lot of people want to get paid, and a lot of people want to write off their losses. So we may see some weird, squirrely things start to get reported before the end of the year. And that may, that might be one of the reasons why we're seeing a whole bunch of reporting on short interest, is that they had to go out and they had to borrow to sort of cover their FTDs. And those FTDs have just been mounting. So, last January, we were at 270% reported short interest. That was reported short interest. Ownership, corporate and institutional ownership, corporate, institutional, and fund ownership of GME was at 314% of the float, which is impossible without there being squirrely things happening. And now we're seeing this these numbers starting to spike again. And, that tells me that Gherkin is onto something with his ETF basket cycle theory, futures contracts, all that stuff all lining up. He just, like, the first wave of it, they just assumed that the gamma would go for a couple of days, and it didn't. So my guess is what they may have done is they went out and they borrowed a boatload of shares rather than buying them last week, because they had to do 7 or 8 million shares purchased to be able to cover those in the money calls. And my guess is they went out and they borrowed 7 or 8 million of them. They didn't do the closing. They bought some on Monday, and they're like, we can't keep doing this. So they went out and they borrowed a bunch, and they paid off their loans that way, or their calls that were due that way. But I'm excited to see what the December yearlies and the January yearlies do. The market's weird. It's absolutely weird. There's all sorts of damage coming from all over the world. Omicron crashed the market on Friday. We're still waiting to hear more about it, but the first data out shows that it's about 500% more infectious than Delta, and Delta was like, 1,000% more infectious than Alpha. So it's very, very infectious. What they don't have yet is the data on, is it making people more sick, or does it evade vaccine efficacy? But there's like 30 or 50 mutations on the virus. I think there's 30 mutations on the spike protein alone. So that could be interesting to see what comes out of it in lab and real life experiments. But it's found all over the world at this point. It didn't. I don't think it originated in South Africa. I think just South Africa was sequencing genomes faster than other people. I'm not sure exactly where it originated, but they're the ones who like, hey, look at this, and then we're all in, oh, South Africa is going to kill everybody. But it may not have necessarily come out of South Africa. They might have just been the first ones to sequence it. And then when other people started looking, they found it in Belgium and Great Britain and Israel and other places around the world. So my guess is it's probably everywhere, and it's probably locally spreading at this point. And it'll probably become a dominant strain by spring, and that will be, what we're dealing with next year. Cool. But as far as that relates to GME, is the more the market goes, and combining with, again, we've got another wave of foreclosures and evictions happening as more states, their moratoriums are ending. We're going to have January 31st student loan payments come due again. And a lot of people all of a sudden be missing out on a lot of cash that they haven't been having to spend for the last 2 years. Got the Chinese contagion of their junk bonds that are blowing up everybody. We got our own corporate debt bubble. We've got the margin bubble that's insane. It's coming, man. There's something's going to give at some point, because we are in the most inflated bubble the global economy perhaps has ever seen at this point. Okay. Meow meow. Is there a concern of possibly a random mutation of COVID into a doomsday variant, in your opinion of that? And what are China's real numbers? Not 5K. Yeah. You're talking about real numbers of COVID? No one knows. China hasn't not reported really anything since basically February of 2020. There, every once in a while you'll see like little news bips come out that certain areas were shut down or hospitals overflowing here and there, but they're not reporting to the mainstream news at all, or even locally. It's just leaked cell phone footage and stuff that comes out, so we know. I don't know about COVID becoming a doomsday variant. Right now, it's just basically it's in large enough populations. If there's a lot of infections, there's probably a streamlining of mutations. What was the article? There's an article about a guy who had an immune disorder, and he lived with COVID for like 8 months. And so it just kept replicating in him and replicating in him and replicating in him. And they kept him alive as long as possible. And when they sequenced the genome from the beginning of his infection to the end of his infection, inside his own body, the mutations that happened on the virus were similar to the mutations that were happening elsewhere. So his own body is replicating and streamlining the genome of this disease to better infect himself, which is pretty wild. I'll have to find that article. So it seems to be a natural progression as to how this particular RNA strand will mutate, because it's gonna favor faster transmission. It's gonna favor evading immune systems and things like that. So whichever ones it goes for, it'll go for. Now, I don't think it will mutate into one that kills people faster, because if you kill people faster, you have less chance of infecting. It probably won't mutate into one that symptoms are shown earlier, because it seems to be that people shed before symptoms. Like 60% of transmissions happen from folks who aren't showing symptoms at the time. So that's one reason, the original SARS in 2003, you weren't infectious until you started like snotting everywhere and coughing. And so that was easy to oh, you're coughing, we're going to lock you in a room and keep you in there. Whereas with this disease, you can feel totally fine and normal for anywhere from 2 to 21 days before you show symptoms, and you're shedding the virus the entire time, infecting people. And it's very sneaky that way. So I would doubt that it would have a mutation that would stop that from happening, because the whole reason it's able to spread so easily is because people don't know they're spreading it. But there are interesting things, like depending on the populations it's evolving from, there are certain strains that seem to hit kids harder at the time, like the B117, the alpha variant that came out of Bristol, England. That was likely from school children, because at the time, all the adults were locked away at home, but they kept sending their kids to school. And so the virus spread amongst children, and it adapted more for kids and then went out from there. Those are interesting things to think about. So I think it will depend upon which population this thing incubates in and spreads from there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see where it all goes. Just in my head, for Fidelity holders, what happens during MOASS after we sell our shares and all our funds are being held in SPACs? Wouldn't that crash too? I mean, I don't plan on holding mine in SPACs. I plan on letting everything, get my cash and use that cash to dump into stocks that are a deal at the time. So I don't know. SPACs is kind of like the money market. Hey, dog. Hey. You're being weird. You're being a weird dog. Yes, you are. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people will have it in cash and go, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Yeah. I'll think about that. How is SPACs, what is the commodity that SPACs is? What is that? Let's it's government money market fund. Okay. Yeah. So it's a money market fund, so it just gains interest. So I don't think it will itself crash unless the government crashes as well. Yeah, I think It's fine. There's ones for Vanguard and similar. So I think those SPAX funds and VMFXX and CPFXX, I think those are going to be all fine. Gordy, Super Chats. Houston, if naked shorting has been taking place for years and never resulted in MOASS, what is the difference this time around? The difference is buying and holding. The original short attack that they've been doing for the last 30 years is they would just depress the price of a stock by printing too many shares and absolutely just inundating the float with all these synthetics. And then when the price drops significantly, people panic and they sell, which causes it to drop even more. And this time around, they dropped the price. People went, what happens if I buy it and don't sell? And the people bought up the deal, and these shorts kept trying to short it more, and people bought those, and they short some more, and they bought those. And before long, the price not only stabilized, but it started growing. And every dollar it grew, the short hedge funds were hemorrhaging liquidity. And as it grew, and now they're screwed because people won't sell, and they're just sitting on piles of shares. And yeah, that's the difference. Buying and holding is the big difference. And just methods. Forgive me if someone has asked this before, but is there anything that can stop the MOASS or delay it significantly, or are we finally endgame? I'd like to think we're finally endgame, but I've thought that before. Remember, you know those like crappy self-defense videos where some nerd is like doing really dumb moves and shows what a badass he is, and the other person is just like kind of standing there and taking it? That's not how a fight goes. Like in a fight, the other person is never just standing there and taking it. They're fighting for their life too. And they're doing every squirrely thing they possibly can to win. And we have an opponent in these short hedge funds that are bobbing and weaving and sticking knives in people and throwing sand in people's eyes. And they're doing everything they can to win as well. They just may tire eventually. We have a lot of stamina because we're used to being poor. We've been poor our entire lives, and we know what it's like to be poor. And we don't actually care. I mean, if most of us lose everything in our fidelity counts or whatever tomorrow, it's not really going to change our lifestyle any. Let's be honest. Like, yeah, my investments are gone. Bummer. But I still have to go to work. I still have to pay my rent. I still have to eat my ramen noodles. I still, I got to pay my electric bill, my phone bill, which I was doing anyway prior to all these investments. But the lifestyle of the folks who were fighting can dry up in a hurry. These are folks that oftentimes, were born with trust funds. They went to school without loans. They got their first job at an investment bank or a hedge fund thanks to whoever their dad knew. There's a lot of them in that realm. And if their lifestyle is in jeopardy because of these bad bets they made, they're going to fight every step of the way to try and maintain that lifestyle. But man, they might not last. They might not have the stamina in the end, because once you pull that rug from under them, they don't know how to live like us. They've never had to do it before. They've never had to save money going to the grocery store and looking at prices of everything. How much per ounce is this cereal versus that cereal? They don't do that stuff. They just have someone else do the shopping for them. And now all of a sudden they're gonna have to it's gonna be like Schitt's Creek, but happening for thousands of hedge fund managers over and over across the entire planet are suddenly going to face the realization that they got to pump their own gas and get their own groceries and bag groceries if they want to live. I don't know what's going to be happening for a lot of those folks. So that's the thing that can delay it, is them fighting us back. And it depends on how long they can afford to do that. Because eventually someone else who didn't short all this stuff, who's been wanting their money, is going to want their money. And that's when the bill's going to come due. And that's when we, go in with the haymakers and finish it up. All right. Meow meow. I drive Uber, and the number of folks that tell me COVID is a lie by the media is scary. So watch the movie Idiocracy. That might be your future. Idiocracy is a good movie. It's a very good movie. And incredibly accurate at the same time. It's basically, it's like a sociological thesis, really. It could be a PhD thesis. Okay. Let's get back to the regular chat here. We're scrolling. All right. Legacy 10 Productions. Houston, how high do you think MetaBat will go before the end of the year? Go Mariners. I don't know how high they'll go before the end of the year. Probably hovering in that $4 to $5 range it's been doing now, unless we get some sort of kick-ass announcement coming from the Torchlight preferred shares. I would like to see exactly what that's going to be. And, you know, they have to make the announcement soon. They've got 30 days. So it's 29th now. They've got until the 31st of December. So they have to make an announcement, what, 2 days? Or maybe they make the announcement before the 31st. I have to see the rules and how that works. Whatever's happening is going to happen before the 1st of January. And then, you know, if it's cash, it might take a month or two for all that stuff to start pushing up higher. If it is a swap into a new oil company, again, that's going to result in a QSIP change, and the ones that were naked short are going to have to shake out because they're not going to change at all. They're going to be left there and have to get purchased up by the hedge funds who shorted it. So, man, yeah, I have to think about that a little more. Ethan Biench, am I saying that right? Has got something in the northern latitudes for us. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's go somewhere more exciting than that roadside pizza place. Bam, bam. We're flying. We're going across where are we going? Wow, I'm so spun around. We are at a farm field. We are at a pile of rocks in a farm field. Big rock, glacial erratic. Ooh, let's see what big rock's all about. Got some good glacial erratics around here too. Boom, that's a big rock. Yeah. So I must be in Canada if I'm at 50 degrees north. And what was it, 114? So maybe Alberta? Is that where I am? That's a nice glacial erratic. You guys know what glacial erratics are? So big glaciers come down, and they slowly, over thousands of years, scrape the surface, and rocks coming out of mountains and falling on top of the ice. So all these rocks fall on top of the ice from cliffs that they're carving their way through. And they make their way south, and then when they melt, the rock just plump drops. And so you get these huge boulders that can be dropped as glacial erratics in these things, and they're pretty cool. Well, there we go. There's a guy contemplating glacial erratics. He wore a tie because it's a special event for him. Yeah. So where exactly am I? I am... Oh, way up in Canada, yeah. Way up in Alberta. So just south of Calgary. Ah, groovy. I'll have to go visit Big Rock one of these days. Maybe if I go to Banff this year, I'll go visit. We got some cool ones. I doubt there's pictures of it here. But there's a big one not too far from where I live. Out here in the Gasm Lake Preserve. It'll be probably about here. And no pictures of it. But there's a big one about the size, I don't know, probably the size of a semi-truck cab that's sitting in the forest here. That was a glacial erratic dropped by the Vashon Glacier. And then everyone's yard is just chock full of them because you want to hoe a farm field. There's so many rocks you get rid of out here. Okay, Big Houston. Peter Joy says Shiba will be interesting over the next few days. I think quite a few of these are going to be interesting over quite a few days. Shiba has dropped, what? Probably 60% from its peak, somewhere around there. But so did Saitama, so did a lot of other borderline shitcoins. Okay, so I'm only 30 minutes behind, so I'm getting to everybody at 2 o'clock telling me to warn me about my intro. Thanks, guys. Rafi says GME's reported 113% short interest is the floor of real short interest. Probably. I think it's much, 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 much higher than that. That 113% right now is basically the oops, we couldn't reset these FTDs group. So there are folks that probably sold a lot of options naked and then didn't have the ability to reset those things or find someone to swap all that debt with, and then went, oh crap, and they had to go and borrow. And that's what they did. And who the heck they borrow from? That's what I want to know. I mean, I guess they probably reached into Robinhood, 212, a few of those. Because institutional ownership, I don't think, has anything left they can lend. So I don't know who they borrowed everything from. Andy L., does the website I DM'd you about the satellites orbiting tell you how much is up there? Well, it tells how much we know is up there in space. But there's a lot of little pieces we can't track because they're too small for any of our telescopes to pick up. So we don't know what the orbital pattern is. You got a little nut that's a centimeter across. Our telescopes might not be able to pick that up because there might not be enough light reflecting off of them to do that. Oh, and there's Religious Pickle predicting when my intro will. Thank you for your confidence in my abilities. It means the world to me. Jordan Not 45. When do you think MOASS? I'm broke, single dad, really struggling. It's been 10 months now. I can barely afford bills. Man, I'm hoping that these next two cycles of options are what does it. That would be awesome. It'd be really nice. It'd be really nice to just, check out for a while, wouldn't it? But I can't, all I know is every each day we're one day closer. That's all I know. I really can't give an exact date to things. I can look at what other people are coming up with their DD and go, yeah, you know what? That's a good explanation to me. But again, like the fault we can find is these hedge funds and market makers, they've got superpowers we don't have, and they're able to do things and get away with them because the way the fines and punishments are set up is it just becomes a cost of doing business. That's one thing I'd love to see the SEC change is make fines so punitive that people aren't even inclined to do this stuff. You break the law, you naked short, you lose your brokerage license. You can no longer be a stockbroker. You're done. You can't play the market anymore, whatever. And the financial penalties to be absolutely just draining. So, and perhaps a little more criminal liability for those at the top. That if your people underneath you are doing shady shit, you're going to prison for not managing them correctly. Send them all to jail. That's what I say. So, but I know a lot of folks are invested in this. It's been tough, and they're sitting and they're waiting and they're sitting there waiting and they're thinking, oh, I got to fix the head gaskets on my car or whatever. Maybe I have to sell 10 shares of GME or 100 shares of AMC or whatever to pay for these things. And they're they're there. Oh, I see popping up. People want me to talk about the AMC Spidey NFT. I mean, it's great. So those of you who don't know, they're doing 86,000 NFTs of Spider-Man. Like the first 86,000 who bought tickets for Spider-Man are getting NFT. There's 100 different NFTs, so it's kind of like baseball cards, right? Like two different people can have the same Randy Johnson rookie card. So essentially 860 of each NFT will go out to folks who buy these tickets. It's a great marketing play. I don't know beyond getting box office dollars towards a movie that's going to be a blockbuster anyway, what it's going to do. It's not any different than like Denny's offering holographic baseball cards if you buy a Grand Slam meal during the baseball season. It's kind of the same thing. It's not the NFT we're looking for. These are not the NFTs you're looking for. We're looking for something that can lock up the float. But it's a good marketing gimmick, and I'm sure that the folks who get some of these things will be able to sell them for a pretty penny to NFT bros. But they're not going to have the same value as the one-offs because you're sharing them with hundreds of other people, each different one. So that's kind of, collect them all, I guess. Someone's going to have to collect all 100 NFTs to have a complete collection. And yeah, that's still trying to wrap my head around what the benefit beyond a marketing perspective it could be. And I don't see one at the moment. Yeah. So. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Marcus Lee doesn't include the ETF short interest, so 113 is nothing. Yeah, the ETFs have, not only have ETFs been absolutely just picked apart for these shares, but then people naked shorted ETFs as well. So that's a whole nother realm of how many shares. Yeah. Rafi T, did you hit that bong? No, I'm a square man. So no, I just drink water and eat chocolate. That's what I do. All right, Fried Taters in from Oahu. Welcome, Fried Tater. John Donson. There was no starting intro. What? I saw the intro on my side. How come you didn't see the intro? I'll give you another one at the end of the show. DB Cooper says, China is going down hard. Not financial advice. My non-financial advice hasn't changed. Stay TF away from all Chinese stocks. Yeah, I think China is a really bad investment at the moment. They're gonna probably see their first contraction of their economy since World War II. So I think they really over leverage themselves. There's a whole bunch of Ponzi schemes going on because a lot of party members saw a great way to just pull in cash and stash, man. Yeah, it's yeah. We've got supply chain problems. We've got employment issues across the board for people all over the world. And we've got a Chinese real estate bubble that has just gone, and so much of people's wealth and so much of the economy in China is built upon real estate. It's like 32% of the Chinese economy is real estate, and the whole thing just vaporized. And people lost life savings, which is a big deal because they don't do it like here in the U.S. where, you've got some cash, you put that cash as a down payment and take a giant loan. You have to pay. There really is no mortgage market in China. You have to take, your money, your grandma's money, your uncle's money, your sister's money, and you pool it together and you get a place that way. And so everyone has these life savings that are just gone. So the Chinese government is going to focus on trying to make sure those people get their money long before anybody who invested from the outside get their money. Because China's main goal is to keep revolution from happening. And if everybody all of a sudden loses their money and the Chinese government's like, well, sorry, fellow citizens, they're gonna lose their minds. So outside investors aren't getting their cash back. They're done. Luis Ventura. What's your opinion on stop buying? Also, I believe this current NFT is a beta for a dividend in the future. On Day Investor Connect members only. Possibly. My opinion on stop buying is that's a silly, stupid way to go. Lou versus Wall Street is that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. You're taking away our own buy button. That helps the shorts. Every time you buy a synthetic share is not giving them liquidity, it's taking liquidity from them. They're dishing out naked shorts in an attempt to keep the price depressed because they're trying to dilute the stock. But every time the price goes up after they've diluted that share because the buy pressure still exists, it becomes a giant liability against their margin. And if you stop buying, that allows them to keep naked printing and drop the price down and continue the short attack like always. Don't volunteer to take away your own buy button. That's dumb. I don't know why someone thinks that it helps the short hedge funds to reduce buy pressure. It doesn't. It helps them in the long run. So don't stop buying. That's what I'd say. Bill M., if you had Post-MOASS money in an IRA, would you buy an index fund, ETFs, individual stocks, or something else? I'd probably put the majority of it into index funds and dividend stocks, and have a little bit here and there that I can play with and speculate on. But for the most part, Post-MOASS, if I've got enough money that me and mine can live comfortably for the rest of our lives, I'm probably going to entertain life. I'll travel. I'll do all the adventures that I've always wanted to do and have been able to afford and take time off to do. And I'm going to live that luxury and live a good life. That's probably a large portion of how I'm going to be spending my time. And so putting that money in index fund is a set it and forget it. You know, I've got this much wealth. I know it's going to make this much cash every year, and to go from there. It'd be really nice to turn off my brain and just spend time with humans, doing human things, and, you know, sailing the Adriatic, or doing a safari across Africa, or, you know, climbing Kilimanjaro, or seeing Machu Picchu, or I don't know, doing all the awesome stuff. Playing a hand of blackjack and Monte Carlo, whatever floats your boat. Being able to, like, I don't know, go to a World Series or World Cup or Olympics, or do all those things that other people I've seen get to do, and then I have not been able to participate in because I didn't have the wealth to do it. It'd be really nice to, like, be pampered in that way. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll be like, well, this is a better hobby, and I want to play with these stocks. But at the moment, I think initially I'll just dump it into Vanguards and sit on my ass. All right. Now people are telling me that my camera looks like it's focused on this is all my crappy camera. It focuses on whatever it wants to focus on. It never wants to focus on me. So sorry there, Carlos. It's the world we live in. The Houston has a crappy camera, and that's all I have to show for it. All right. Julius, Miami, Houston, what's the update with your truck engine status? The truck engine is still busted. I'm talking to a guy this week about buying a Montero. Basically, I'm going to take the engine out of it. I'm going to take the transfer case out of it and just swap them in and do it that way, and just see how long the truck lasts after that. So there'll be, I don't know, probably a $1,000 to $2,000 investment on my part to get that thing, and then just take the truck with no engine and donate it to NPR or something and get a tax write-off. Because why not? Alan Arante, sometimes I think the weird coordinates are places these chat members have dumped bodies. Oh, goodness. There actually was a body found via Google Earth in Tacoma last year. Somebody was looking through their neighborhood and saw what looked like the outline of a body in someone's yard, and it turned out to be a mentally disabled man whose mother was his caretaker, and his mother passed away, and then he died because he didn't know how to feed himself or anything in the backyard, and someone found his body like 2 or 3 years later on Google Earth. That's pretty crazy. So, from now on, when you guys send me weird places, I'm going to look for outlines of corpses decaying in the forest or whatever. That's what we're going to be doing. All right. Untun, evening from Sweden. I've been thinking about buying puts on Kenny G's butt, but I think I might lose value if he ends up in jail. Thoughts? Good luck today. Got to go to bed. All right, Untun. Yeah, I would love to be able to get credit default swaps on the bonds that Citadel sold last year. That would be nice. Lunar Swan, Houston finally started reading Stranger in a Strange Land after your recommendation a while back. About 100 pages in. It's very good. Any others? Oh, dude, want more science fiction? There's a lot of good science fiction out there. All right. One of the lesser known Vonnegut ones. I go with Player Piano. That's a good one. It's really funny to see there's the futurists who are like, computers are going to be everything. And then there's futurists who didn't really acknowledge that computers existed. And so everything they thought was going to be like these more mechanical machines. And Vonnegut's Player Piano is one of those worlds. And it's still a beautiful book. Do that one next. DB Cooper says they don't care about liabilities, just look at the FTDs. Was true to a point, but now look at the fact that short interest reporting skyrocketed in the last week. Absolutely just went through the roof. So that short interest reporting tells me that at some point they just can't keep passing the buck of these FTDs around. That someone somewhere has to go, crap, I am holding the hot potato. Music has stopped, and I'm not sitting in a chair. They have to do something. And so they're going out there and they're finally physically borrowing these shares to cover the FTDs that they're liable for. So now they're liable for the actual reported short interest, which we knew was there all along. Okay. All right. Okay, a lot of these questions in here because I'm so far behind in the chat, and I'm seeing the same questions asked by 5 different people over and over and over and over and over. Fear the Jinn. Viruses are more transmissible in the mutate, not stronger. Sometimes. They also can mutate to affect different age groups. So the 1918 flu, what we call the Spanish flu, really didn't originate in Spain. It probably originated in Kansas, but Spain was the first ones to report on it, just kind of like South Africa with the Omicron. That one hit men between 18 and 40 really, really, really hard. Just was wiping them out. And then a year later, it mutated, and it started hitting children under 10 really hard, and it started wiping those kids out. Yeah, so it can mutate to affect different physiologies as well as time goes on. Braden Pettigrew, Houston. My plan after MOASS is to start growing hemp. Do you see hemp going mainstream anytime soon? FYI, I live in Canada. Hemp has its uses, but there's certain things with hemp that just aren't as good. Like, when my dad was younger, he talked about how he's a sailor. He grew up sailing little sailboats and stuff. And he said, if you were poor and you couldn't afford the nice stuff, you would get hemp rope, hemp lines for your boat, because the quality just wasn't there. But they're cheaper and plentiful. The products I've had that have been hemp have been kind of meh. like hemp. I had, rainbow flip-flops that were hemp, and they were so stinky compared to other ones that I'd owned, and it just kind of fell apart. But like hemp paper, I see no difference between hemp paper and regular paper. Paper's paper. It's just pulp fibers laid on top of each other, smushed and polished out. I'm sure there's like, epoxy hemp building products you can do. They're kind of like bamboo floors and things. I guess it really depends on how and what you're going to be using that for and what your market is. Also, if you want to farm, more power to you. I hate gardening, so any idea, like, I'm going to grow hemp. I'm like, oh crap, that involves like work. I don't want to do that after MOASS. I don't want to do work. I'm done working. Work is out there. But if you see it as a hobby and you love doing it, more power to you, man. And you'll have the financial ability to like get any business you want started and work until it's making a profit, because you don't have to worry about like, people that open a restaurant and can't last for more than a year while they're trying to build up their clientele or whatever. You will have the cash for it. Daphne Berry, when you did the interview with The Gist where you made predictions, was it on your channel? No, it was on The Gist channel. I didn't have a channel back then. So search up Chatter with The Gist. I guess you probably just type in The Gist in Houston Wade, and our couple interviews should pop up there. I'm going to try and get Josh on here, and he can talk about his book. He's writing the book right now on GME, like the book that's kind of cataloging and documenting everything. So I should bring him on here, and we can have a chit-chat about that now that I can do interviews with people. Yeah. Coffee, donuts, and Homer. Metamaterial, torch QSIP didn't help. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of FTDs with that got reset, and who knows what happened with those things, because I don't think they bought and covered or closed their positions on those. And it seems like the Torchlight preferred shares, that there's more of them that exist than should exist, which tells me that there's a lot of people on the data record that had a whole bunch of naked shares, and they got those Torchlight preferred shares put into their account, and those things are naked, which is why short hedge funds probably strong-armed the brokers into allowing them to trade those shares, which wasn't supposed to happen. So they could buy them up and eliminate them from existence for whenever, whatever the dividend happens to be out of that. Bruce Anui says park money in credit unions. Credit unions are a very good way to go as far as banks are concerned, because they aren't going to face credit crunches the same way banks would, because they aren't for profit, and so they aren't doing weird things with your money and taking risks with it. They're just, give a home loan to somebody, take some money in for savings. Give a home loan to somebody, take some money for savings. Give a car loan to somebody, take some money for savings. That's all they're doing. They aren't trying to do things for shareholders and meet profit goals and stuff like that. Credit unions are superior, so I agree with Bruce. Okay. DB Cooper, Gordy, we haven't managed to eradicate the flu. Not sure why we can do any better with COVID. Actually, 2 entire strains of the flu have been eradicated since we began mitigating COVID. We cannot find them anywhere. because COVID has an R naught, which is the transmissibility ability of it, of like 6 to 7, meaning unmitigated. Every person who gets sick with COVID will spread it to 6 or 7 other people. And the flu unmitigated has an R naught of like 1.3, meaning every person who gets sick gives it to basically 1 1/3 other people. So it's a very much slower growth rate than COVID would. And because we're mitigating against a disease that has an R naught of probably approaching 7, means that wearing masks, social distancing, wiping down surfaces, doing things like that has essentially eliminated the ability of the flu to transmit. And so 2 entire strains of the flu are gone. And we actually had eliminated the 1918 flu variant by the 1950s with vaccinations. So by the mid-1950s, that flu did not exist anymore, the H1N1. But there was a freezer in a lab that had 1918 flu in it. In 1977, someone left the freezer open or escaped from the lab, and all of a sudden H1N1 was all over the world again. So we've had the ability to eliminate these diseases. And if, mathematically, if we could keep every single human being away from every other human being for 2 weeks, like no contact with any human for 2 weeks, we could eliminate all the cold viruses and all the flu viruses and COVID on Earth. Gone. They would not exist anymore. So we do have the ability to do these things. The problem is that these viruses, RNA strands, which are just a single strand of DNA with the C's, G's, T's, and A's just lined up on one side and no partner, they're really easy to mutate. And so they can, if you don't get people vaccinated fast enough, they can escape vaccine efficacy and you're starting all over again. Whereas diseases like polio or AIDS or, these other really gnarly ones, smallpox, they are essentially a DNA virus. So they're harder to mutate. So it's easier to vaccinate against polio and smallpox. AIDS has been a hard one to find because AIDS is a disease that destroys the immune system. So it attacks the immune system. But there's been promising stuff with the mRNA vaccines for AIDS. There was this last spring, press release came out about second phase trials showing like 97% efficacy for an mRNA AIDS vaccine, which might be high enough to, if everybody got it, we could have herd immunity against AIDS, which would be awesome. Okay. I haven't heard about third round yet. And then also, if you guys watch, there's a documentary that came out right before the pandemic on Netflix called Pandemic. And it was about, it followed several different groups. So one was the head of like public health in New York. And I think she became like a CDC person. And then another was a guy from USAID. There's a USAID program that essentially they had these people stationed all over the world, and their job in combination with other intelligence agencies was if they get chatter about an outbreak of some kind, bird flu or swine flu or whatever, they would work with the governments in those places, and they would like, oh, bird flu is reported on this farm. We're going to slaughter every chicken on this farm, burn their carcasses, and then we'll pay the farmer for what we had to take from them. They were working all over the world doing this. They're doing experiments with bats and whatever, trying to catalog these diseases. And sadly, that program got shut down in October 2019, about 3 weeks before COVID appeared. But anyway, then there was a group, they're based out of the Bay Area, and they had invented a flu vaccine that essentially can make you immune to all flus ever. They took this flu virus and they put every notable I don't know what you call it, like accoutrement of those flu strains over the last 100 years into one little buggy, and they're doing experiments, and they managed to vaccinate piglets, and the piglets became immune to flu, like all flu, every kind of flu you can imagine. Doesn't matter how it mutates because there's so many little doohickeys on these little flu strains that your body would recognize, no matter how it entered your body. Like, hey, you look like a flu strain to me. And they were moving towards human trials when COVID hit. So I don't know how those are going along because I'm sure that they probably had to divert focus and focus on COVID because that was the immediate threat. But yeah, so there's lots of things out there, and we can speculate on that stuff. But I think there's a good chance in the future we're going to be doing all sorts of cool things, and science is going to save us from a lot of these diseases. Crafted Genius, what's the stupidest thing you've done? I've done a lot of stupid things. Stupidest thing I've done was buying my off-road camping trailer. That thing was such a hunk of shit. Just a giant waste of money. Oh, piece of garbage. Flagstaff, off-road, toy hauler, pop-up camping trailer. It looks cool. The idea is cool. The build quality is the worst build quality of any product I've ever purchased in my entire life. And after 5 uses, just falling apart. Absolute garbage. That's the stupidest thing I've ever done. Mike Lee. From my hood. All right, this is where Mike Lee's buried bodies. Let's figure out where he's sending us. So 40 degrees north, 70 west. So we are somewhere on the East Coast, I think. Maybe Midwest. 70 degrees East Coast. Whoa. So we are at Castle Island, Massachusetts. Fort Independence, Massachusetts. All right. This is Mike's hood. This is where he's buried bodies. So let's look for any corpse outlines we see here. Yeah, cool. Can we get in the ground floor here? See what things are all about. Come on, take me in there. Take me in there. Let's go. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, what is it? It doesn't even offer a street view. How cruel is that? Maybe outside? Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see what this guy's all about. There's someone walking right there. Nope, no street view available. Aww. Nice little beach. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Right next to the airport. That's groovy. I've never been there. I need to go there. I've pretty much only really been to Cambridge mostly. Cambridge, Somerville, and that area. Haven't really explored Boston itself. But I was here for a wedding and then looked at grad schools and did all that. With my grad program I'm in, I am required to do at least one term back in Boston. But I'm going so slow through this grad program, I'm not sure exactly when that term will be. Probably 55 years from now, how quickly I'm going through this thing. But, yeah, maybe I'll give me a chance to explore Boston. You want to go walk around Boston, dog? Hey! Park my car at the car park. Yeah. Cool. Cool. All right. I'm still way far behind in the chat so far. So far. Oh, yeah. Jack Dorsey stepped down as CEO of Twitter. That was other news today. Forgot to talk about that. All right. Okay. People talking. Oh. Well, Bogus McGee wants to send me to Europe. Let's do that while I'm trying to find more questions that aren't the same thing over and over again. Wait. Oh, 110. I thought it was 6 degrees. No, it's 110 degrees. 6 minutes. And where am I? Badlands Guardian. What is that? So it's in Alberta. Badlands. I don't know what you are. You're not that exciting. This is definitely somewhere where someone's buried bodies. I can tell you that much. Badlands, Guardian. Show me. Go to full article. What? Geomorphological feature, medicine hat, southeast of Alberta. Viewed from the air, features said to resemble a human head. Wearing full indigenous headdress. Oh. That is the tiniest picture. Can I zoom in? Can I? No. It won't let me zoom in on that. Okay. I'll take people's word for it. I cannot see it in this image. I'll have to have somebody point that out to me because I don't see it at all. Let's look out. So, a little north. Oh, okay, I see it now. All right, here we go. That's what we're looking at. So, they're saying that's the nose, that's the mouth, eyes, eye and brow is up here, and then that's the headdress. Ah, I see it now. The other image, I couldn't see it at all. I see it here. And there's the jaw. All right, cool. When was it that someone discovered that? I don't know. All right, I dig it. I dig it now that I know what I'm looking at. And there's probably bodies buried there also. Okay. Speak Jules says Monte Carlo is overrated. Vegas is enough. But Monte Carlo's got the beaches. And I don't know, like a royalty and a Formula One race. So they got those things going for them. And Bond films things there. So, it's good enough for James Bond. It's got to be good enough for me, right? Because I am that smooth. Jonathan Deal, Houston, how do you feel about putting your money into dividend stocks instead of ETFs? I mean, your goal is to find things that pay out the most, right? So if you have ETFs that can pay out 5 to 10%, cool. If you find dividend stocks that do that, awesome. If you can find index funds that do that, fantastic. So that's the goal. You get a bunch of money, and then you stick it into something that pays you 5 to 10%, and you just live off that. And you turn off your brain, and you go sit on beaches, and you go to, I don't know, supermodel fashion weeks, and you live the life, and you have your Lamborghini get valet parked, and yeah, that's what we're doing, right? Manifest density. So you're saying post-MOASS you're gonna be Theodore Roosevelt? That would be pretty nice. I guess we could do lots of wrestling. You guys ever read Big Burn? That's a book to read. Big Burn. Read that book. Holy smokes. He and Gifford Pinchot in their boxing and wrestling matches at the White House were apparently legendary. But Big Burn is a good read. I highly recommend that. Josh Bentley, thoughts on birds aren't real movement? Birds are real. It's just that there's only 6 species of them. That's my opinion. Jersey, camera is manual, but not when it's hooked up to the computer. When it's hooked up to the computer, it does its own thing. It won't let me toggle the manual dial at all to focus. So I'm stuck being forever like what's Newt Gingrich's wife's name? She was always like airbrushing her face to get rid of her wrinkles. I'm like that. I'm just slightly out of focus. I'm like a Hollywood star with it hitting her 50s, and they're just putting a soft focus on her so I don't look so wrinkly and old. Squamps metamaterials are so cool. I was reading about split ring resonators and soliton lasers. I want to shadow a metamaterials engineer. They do have internships at metamaterials. I know that much. the stuff they're working on is crazy. I mean, they've got their laser blocker technology is pretty cool. And I think one of the things that Metamaterials needs to work on is they need to pay a lobbyist, send them to DC, and get the FAA or Congress to require their laser glasses for all commercial pilots. Because there's billions a year being lost in time and money for people getting dazzled by 12-year-olds with laser pointers. And if they require those glasses in the cockpit for upon landing, then all of a sudden these airlines save a bunch of money. And that's guaranteed, probably $30 million a year for metamaterials for those glasses. Because you guys, we all know that we lose sunglasses. People sit on them, they break, like look at these suckers. They broke, can't find a leg for them anywhere. That's it, they're done. And you gotta buy new ones. They get stolen, they get sat on. You leave them behind somewhere, leave them on a table. You gotta buy them again. So they got a guaranteed market there. Cameron Mirza, if Evergrande claims bankruptcy, how does that affect the hedge funds? I don't know if it necessarily affects the hedge funds per se, but it will affect banks and prime brokers. And if banks and prime brokers take a hit and their stock drops, then the hedge funds who own the stock in those banks and prime brokers will also take a hit. Big write-offs. And so there's a lot of folks out there that, they're gonna need cash from somewhere. And if the banks need to come up with a bunch of cash because they've got huge write-offs they've got to do, then they're going to look for where they can find that cash. And the folks who trade under them might be the ones who get margin called because they need some cash. They need that money. Okay, so I'm only 30 minutes behind. All right. That's all. We're only 30 minutes behind the chat. Talking about the Spider-Man NFTs. Inspect a deck. I kind of like that name. Inspect a deck wants to send me somewhere in the world while I'm trying to find questions. Oh, Inspect a deck does not like your coordinates here. Maybe it's because I need a comma. Nope. Sorry, Inspect a deck. Not let me go there. Ain't happening. All right. Well, that didn't kill time. Aaron F. Houston, tell me how buying 100 shares of MetaMaterial at 380-ish and selling $5 is a bad idea. It isn't. You make money off of it. Boom. You made money. That's not a bad idea. That's our goal, is to make money on this stuff. Darnell Wilson, Super Chats. After MOASS, you down to go here? YOLO. Let's see where here is. 35 degrees north, 100 degrees west. This looks like somewhere in the southwest. Oops. Hit the wrong button. And bam, bam. Where are we? We are finding bodies? Where are we? That's is that a railroad? R road and number 9? Where are we? We are in Texas? So we're in Texas. Okay. We're in Texas. We are in Texas. We are at the intersection of these roads. They look like they're dirt roads. Are they dirt roads? People doing donuts in the dirt road here, obviously. Come on. Yeah, man, let's go here. What are these looking at? There's AT-ATs? What are those things? Is grain hoppers? Whoa. Silos? What do I got here? Go that way. Oh, look like grain hoppers. Feed. Well. Yeah, after MOASS, let's all go to this corner of R and 9 and just have ourselves a whooping party. We could do donuts right here on the dirt road and have ourselves a grand old time. That sounds like a plan. Yeah. Looks like they went to do road work and then they forgot their sign. And that was the end of the road work. Cool. Cool spot. There's definitely bodies buried here. I'll tell you that much right now. You guys and your weird places you send me. Meow meow. When Metamaterial is a $10 billion company, where will the stock price be at? What can the company grow to be worth in your opinion? Man, well they bought Nanotech Security, which is going to be putting them on banknotes and treasury notes and things like that. That was their specialty. So any notes have to trade hands will probably have their technology in at some point. They'll be in screens, windows, lots of surfaces. Because you can block all sorts of light, you can filter light, you can make all sorts of crazy lasers, and every cell phone probably in the future will have some sort of tech on the screen that will be Metamaterial's proprietary technology. And I'll have to look at their patents. They've got all sorts of weird things for, like they apparently invented the technology on the bendable screens that allowed them to like bend constantly for those like foldable cell phones that people are having now. So they've got some sort of deal with Samsung that I think is proprietary for the film that makes those things. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more in there. Darnell Wilson is supposed to be the Magic City strip club in Atlanta, lol. Oops. Well, we can afford to make a strip club right there. I'm not sure there's gonna be many clientele that can go there for it. Karen Mirza is Tuesday charity show for toys. Great show, by the way. It'll be Tuesday sorry, look at my map here, my calendar. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth Tuesday is technically the 28th, but I think we should do it on the 21st this time around. So it'll be the week before Christmas. Will be Charity Tuesday. So it'll be Tuesday, December 21st is our charity show for December. That'll work. Yeah, I'll give everyone the Christmas spirit. We're gonna do Toys for Tots on the 21st. So that'll be our date there, Cameron. Can you smoke barley? That's the first thing you do to make a dark beer, is you roast barley. Anna Rulnick, Houston, happy birthday. Have people sent you anything interesting in your P.O. box? Initially, nothing's come in the last couple of weeks that have been of interest. I got someone sent me a book about Jesus. Someone sent me a weird T-shirt that had to do with a book that they wrote. It was called Lothario Cowboy. The subtext was, "Your wife is on the back of my horse." I'll wear that T-shirt probably on a Twitch stream one of these days. And what else they sent me? I got a really lovely note from someone that just said like, "Hey, love your show." That was heartwarming. Yeah, I haven't got too much so far in the P.O. box. Looking forward to seeing what other weird things people will send. Apparently someone's sending me a personalized like epoxy mug for my water glass, so I'm not drinking out of a ragu jar anymore. Yeah. Roberto Benagas, Houston, how many shares do you own? I mean, of what? I've got shares in several things. Talking about GME. Oh yeah, it says I own 12 GME and 100 AMC. You think you'll be able to get 250,000 a share on GME shares? Why not? I mean, when the squeeze happens, the people who control the price are basically those who are going to be selling. And if they sit and refuse to sell for a long time, that price goes straight up. Outside that, yeah, I think I can get $250 a share. I think I can get $250 a share for mine. So why not? We're going to be demanding a lot of money for these shares when the time comes. And a rule that Q said, did you see that Schwab is going to start charging $6.99 for OTC stock trades? So Schwab's going to be going back to a nominal commission for OTC shares. I wonder if payment for order flow is drying up on those things. Interesting. I did not see that. But I usually use Schwab for doing OTC trades because they really don't care what you invest in. Whereas Fidelity is like, yeah, it's a dumb idea to invest in that stock. We're not going to let you do it. And Schwab is like, have at it, man. Schwab doesn't care. And sometimes it works out for me, and sometimes I hold a bit too long. I had this stock, Zenith Capital, that was in talks with Pfizer about some drug they owned, and the stock price, I bought it like 21 cents. The stock price went to like 40 cents, and now it's worth like a tenth of a penny. Lame. I don't know what's happening with that one, but you know, Fidelity was like, no. Schwab was like, do it, and Schwab screwed me by letting me do that. Ernie Elizondo, do you think that GameStop was managed to file for bankruptcy before Cohen got on board? Heck yes. They were doing everything with GameStop they do with all the other, KB Toy Hobby or Sears or Kmart, any of the other companies that they purposely tank. They were selling real estate. They were not upgrading stores. They weren't moving into new avenues. They were basically operating at a loss, giving themselves big bonuses, doing all that stuff. And Ryan Cohen came in. He's like, no, we're going to change this. We're going to change over the entire system. The one area that GameStop needs to focus on, I think that they haven't done yet, is they need to focus on employee satisfaction and employee pay. That's probably one area that GameStop can improve on, and it will improve the customer experience by having happy employees. But for the most part, employees so far haven't seen the benefit of the retail employees haven't seen the benefit of the reinvestment into GameStop, and that's probably the one area they really need to focus on, and hopefully they'll start focusing on it soon. Yeah, that's something that everyone should focus on. Happy employees. That the world should be full of happy employees. Bam. Dr. Stonk, let Roaring Kitty be the shining example of shutting the F up when your lawyer commands it. Yeah, he's been absolutely radio silent for pretty much the last 6 months. I haven't really heard much from him at all. He shows up every once in a while, like playing basketball in the park or something, but that's about it. Tristan Francis, hey Houston, do you think brokerages and hedge funds like Citadel can claim bankruptcy and not have to cover their shorts? Also, happy birthday. No. That's when the brokerages won't. The main brokerages won't be declaring bankruptcy. That's not going to happen. There might be guys like Robinhood that do because they're run by morons, and they're not really like a tried and true brokerage. They're kind of a broker that uses another brokerage to do all their dealings. They're like an intermediary. But like Fidelity and those folks, Schwab, international brokers, those guys are fine. Nothing's going to happen to them. But hedge funds can't declare bankruptcy. They don't really get that bankruptcy. I mean, they can go bankrupt, but the liability moves on to the prime brokers and the banks. And we're not going to let the prime brokers and banks go under for this. So those guys will get bailed out. because we can't afford to have liquidity dry up. So if Melvin dies, Melvin gets eaten up by this play, and they get liquidated and they're gone, the liability of the other $300 billion in plays they've made, that would fall to Merrill Lynch or JP Morgan or whoever is their prime broker, Bank of America, one of those guys. And that's who has to cover at that point. And those folks won't have the $300 billion in cash on hand. So they're going to be out of money, and the Federal Reserve is going to have to spool up those printers, because we can't let these banks go under, because we need them to keep liquidity moving through the markets, and consumer credit and business lines of credit going, people buying homes, whatnot. So that's kind of how it works. Oh, got a Daphne Berry coordinate here. Let's see where she wants to send us. Where'd you bury bodies, Daphne? Boom. Flying around the world. We are landing in, where is Spain? España? Galicia? Plaza de Toros de Pamplona. That's where the bulls fight. It's in Pamplona, right? That's where, yeah. Maybe we should all go run with the bulls, and whoever loses, it's like a game of roulette. Go to Pamplona, run with the bulls, and whoever loses has to split their newfound wealth with everyone else who didn't die. It'd be nice to go to Pamplona someday. I've got some friends that are in, I think it's in Santander, up here in Galicia. Go visit them too. They are living their best life, man. The lady is working a government job back here in the U.S., but remotely. So she spends her afternoon at the beach, getting lunch, and then she works from 5 in the evening until she's done. She's the night owl like me, and gets paid so much money compared to the people who live in Galicia, and they have a beautiful 2-bedroom for 600 euros a month. Oh, I'm jelly. I am jelly. Monkey Butt and I have thought about taking our show on the road and living in Italy or Spain or something, and doing our show from there, because I'm a night owl. If you want me to do shows during market hours, it's gonna have to be in the evening in Europe. Otherwise, I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do shows like Bruce or something. I just don't have it in me. I became an astronomer for a reason, and that reason was I like to sleep and wake up whenever I feel like waking up. I do my best work at midnight. Okay. You're going to Daphne's going to move to Pamplona. Sweet. BTW brand, bro. Been drinking out of huge glass jars since 2007. Beats anything people try to pass off as a cup. I mean, this is the biggest thing I own that fits comfortably in my hand and lasts 2 hours of a show. It's great. And when I'm teaching, I generally teach long classes. I'm up there wandering around pontificating, but then there's a break every 40 minutes or so, and go and I drink water or whatever. But if I'm sitting here and I'm just chit-chatting, I just have to drink constantly. Okay. Did we... Oh, super chat. Darnell Wilson. If you were to leave the country for good, which country would you move to and why? I probably would go to an EU country, to be honest. My dad has been thinking about... Let's go back to the map here. My dad's 85, and he loves to sail, and he loves warm weather, and he's really been in the back of his mind, he's Portugal. I can sell my house here in Bainbridge for way too much money, and then buy a home in Portugal and be warm and go sailing and be happy. And so he's been thinking about like Portugal. Cost of living wise, I think, Spain, Portugal, Italy might be pretty cool. I've always wanted to visit like the Adriatic. I'm fascinated with the Adriatic. I've always wanted to visit Trieste. Someone who's Italian may correct me however I say this, but this like really cool town that became a huge port during the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and then kind of waned when Italy claimed it back after World War One. But it's an incredibly diverse city and lots of cool like ruins, and I don't know. The Adriatic has always fascinated me. But then there's there's little villages out in like was it Umbria and place like that the rural towns, and they're kind of dying, but you can get homes really cheap, really cheap in some of these places. And if I'm doing a YouTube job, I can do that from anywhere. I can give up teaching to YouTube kind of more full time and reduce my rent in half and my food costs in half, and have, I don't know, as long as I can get to the mountains and go skiing, I'm pretty happy. That's the one thing that I will have to do. Like, I love going to Switzerland, visiting my friends in Switzerland, but food is so expensive in Switzerland. Having friends that live there makes my cost of visiting much, much cheaper, and being able to use air miles to fly there makes it much, much cheaper. But I don't think current YouTube income could not get me Switzerland. I could not live in a ski resort in Switzerland with that. I could visit, but I couldn't live there. But yeah, and being an EU country, you can just travel all over. Just hop on the trains and go to all sorts of different weird places and see all sorts of things that you couldn't see otherwise. I've got friends that live in Kuala Lumpur. So they are, where's Kuala Lumpur? Up here in Malaysia. And their cost of living is fantastic. They are loving it. They are living a very nice life. They do tech jobs and then are remote, and they're loving it. But I don't know, it's a little hot for me. It's like basically on the equator. And I like warm weather, but I don't like warm weather all the time. I need seasons. CJ Johnson, what's the name of the company you mentioned with the new glucose testing for diabetics? I want to check them out. No Labs, KNWN, I think is their OTC listing. They got hammered this week. They were doing pretty well, and then Friday, with everything else. Sinchan, Portugal is freaking amazing and highly recommended. Happy birthday! Yeah, I really Portugal hadn't been on my radar, and then I watched Warrior Nun on Netflix, and I was like, man, Portugal looks pretty cool. It's all filmed in Portugal, so it looked pretty cool. I was like, that looks pretty awesome. I could go there and visit. I've not been to Portugal yet, but I'd love to go someday. There was a guy here in Seattle years ago who my connection is freezing here. Why is that happening? Come on, connection, work up. Hope you guys can hear me, but if not, there, it's back. Okay. There's a guy here in Seattle who saved up like millions of corks and then built a boat and then shipped that boat to Portugal and floated the Porto River from the mountains all the way to the sea in his cork boat he made. There's like a National Geographic article about his adventure. That's probably 20 years ago. I thought that was awesome. Rusty Nail. There's a strip club near me named Fuzzy Holes. True story. Look it up. There's no strip club near me. There was one called the Main Stage in Gorst. So we zoom in here. All right. So there's Bainbridge. To get anywhere, you got to take a ferry to Seattle, or you got to drive off the island of the bridge in the north and take this big giant loop. And there's this town called Gorst, and Gorst is the armpit of the universe. And actually, Gorst is named after the guy who founded United Airlines. United Airlines was based out of here, and they were going to call it Gorst Airlines, and then you got some other partners in there. They ended up calling it United Airlines. But Gorst is essentially the town you can drive over. You drive along here, and then there's just an overpass, and the town's gone. Under that overpass is this building here. No, sorry, this building here was Toys Topless for a long time. My entire life was called Toys Topless, or the main stage. And so I never went there. But my friend was a field biologist for Washington Fish and Wildlife. And Gorst Creek, you can kind of see the creek empties out right here. So it comes down the hill from, there's a little tiny mountain called Gold Mountain in here. And it drains down. And his job one year was to stand in the parking lot here and just count the number of little salmon smolt that were leaving the stream. So he's clicking away. And the stripper comes out in her bathrobe, and she wraps herself up, and she's smoking her cigarette. She's like, "What you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm counting fish." She's like, "Oh, there's one." Click. There's two more. Click, click. He said within like 20 minutes, there's about a dozen strippers all smoking cigarettes in their robes, pointing out fish to him that he had to count. And then the other main stage story I had, I was a swimmer. I swam competitively with club teams in college and things like that. And one time I was swimming with the club team. I was probably 19 or 20. And one of the lifeguards, he's like, dude, John and I just went to the main stage for the first time ever to see what it was like. And I was like, really? He's like, you would not believe what happened. The first stripper came out visibly pregnant. Second stripper came out and she was obviously missing a finger. Third stripper came out was Danielle, the dive coach, who saw us, screamed, and ran away. That sort of cracks me up. And then now it's like a flooring place. Now it's no longer a stripper paradise. I don't think there's any stripper places near me. You have to go to Seattle, and I've never been to one in Seattle. Seattle ones, you apparently can't get lap dances, and there's no alcohol, so people don't go to these places. They either go to Vancouver or they go down to Portland, which is where all those stripper places are, strip clubs. Come to Houston's stream, learn about strip stories that have nothing to do with stripper stripping. Okay, no, didn't miss any super chats there. Excellent. All right, I've got 22 minutes, folks, and then I gotta go for the evening. Okay. Let's get back in here, the chat here. All right. Sorry. Looking. You guys are having lots of conversations with each other in here. It's great to read, but not fun to watch on the show. Okay. All right. Fine. Just got back to where I was. Talk about Toys R Us is back. Goodness gracious. But I guess it's all right. Someone's just using the name. J. Ken says GameStop should give the employees stock. That should make them happy. That would be a brilliant idea, actually. They reserved a share or two of stock for all their employees, but then all their employees would make so much money they wouldn't have to work at GameStop anymore, and then GameStop would lose every single employee they have. You have to do it as some sort of, you can give them stock, but they have some sort of year or two before they're allowed to divest. Yeah. Rob Tall, they need first-rate PR firm. Never hear enough from GameStop corporate. Any positive news drives stock prices. No news devalues. GameStop really hasn't had to do marketing. Because they got a whole bunch of us talking about it constantly. Just GameStop, talking day and night about it. And I think they're just kind of counting on saving money on marketing by having us talk about the stock all the time and the company itself. And that's free marketing. They haven't had to pay for that stuff. They don't have to have commercials. They don't have to have radio spots. We just are on YouTube, yik-yakking, on Twitter, talking about it, on Reddit, talking about it. And they're just, that name is getting in people's minds more than ever right now. No, this is no. Oh goodness. Granny Bags, this is a shiny shirt. I don't know if you can see. It's shiny. We're shining it up. It's got tiny little silver threads, pinstripes, all throughout it. We'll get in here. See the shine of the pinstripes? This is a shiny shirt. This qualifies. It's a very shiny shirt. It's a subtly shiny shirt. So we're still in Shiny Shirt Week. We're on day 22 of Shiny Shirt Week. I've got a few more to go. A couple of my shiny shirts went on the DL, and I have not repaired them. So I got a few more to go before Shiny Shirt Week finally ends. But I think Wednesday might be the last day. Is there more? Wednesday might be the last day of Shiny Shirt Week. Just in time for my mustache to appear. You guys will see what I'm going to turn this itchy ball of fuzz into. I think I've got a good idea what it's going to be this year. What do you want? Quit poking me. Hi, buddy. You just want to visit? You want to say hi? Who's that over there? Who's that? You want to say hi to everyone? Say, well, you're here? Yeah. Oh, you're a good dog. You're a good dog. Yes, you are. You're a good dog. Yeah. Raw. Helicopter ears. Yeah. Get up there. There you go. All right. Sorry, she wanted attention. I got to give it to her. Javier Hertz. I think that's how you say it. Houston, please explain what a short squeeze is for my wife in 1 minute. Okay, so short squeeze basically when you got a hedge fund and they think this stock price is going to go down. So traditionally, they would borrow shares from somebody, sell it, watch the price go down, go back, buy the shares in, and trade them, give the shares back to whoever they borrowed them from and keep whatever the difference was from when they sold and when they bought. That's their profit. What has happened is folks don't even bother borrowing anymore. They just create a synthetic stock, a counterfeit one, and they sell that. And their goal is to drive that price down to zero. And so they keep making more and more and more of these fake shares, and they drive that price down to zero. And if they can get it to zero, they no longer have to pay anybody back, because who wants a stock that's not worth anything? And what is happening, how a short squeeze works, is they're betting the price is going to go down, and so they sell this stock at this level. But demand for the stock increases, and the price goes up. So now, rather than making the profit on selling down here, they have a giant loss at having to purchase the stock way up here. And if that stock, people are holding on to that stock and refuse to sell, it can really drive the price even higher. And when you get forced buying in that case, when oh, your collar is so loud. When you get forced buying in that case, then the price action skyrockets, and that's when you get the short squeeze. Because when these shorts have to buy is when they're forced to buy. And they have no other option but to buy that stock, because they got to close their positions because the folks who they borrowed from or whatever want their shares back. And so that's the easiest 1 minute short squeeze explanation I can give you. That work? That help for you? If not, I've probably done that same explanation 50 other times over the course of the last 6 months. Okay. Okay, people talking about the don't buy thing. Don't turn off your buy button. Keep adding to your positions. Not financial advice. This is advice about how to make a short squeeze continue. You don't want the price to drop. Don't want the price to drop at all on these things, because it gives the opportunity for the shorts to then go in and close positions on the sly. You don't want them closing positions on the sly with the price dropping. You want buy pressure to maintain, and you want the price to continue to either go up over time or at least hold steady. And if you turn off the buy button for yourself, the price drops and the shorts win. Hey, Felix is from Portugal. Felix Pagaimo. Do you like living in Portugal, Felix? Where in Portugal are you? Because wherever, if my dad does go to Portugal, it's going to be by the water for sure. You will like Coimbra. Where's Coimbra? Coimbra, Portugal. Go. Oh, I forgot to turn on my thing. There, we're flying. We're going to Portugal. It's a little inland. All right. We got a river. It's like a nice medieval town there. Come on. Give me some pixels. Give me some pixels, Coimbra. I got no pixels. But, man, it looks lovely. Yeah. Excuse me. Plug in Google Earth is not giving me pixels at the moment. All right, Google Earth, we'll give you a break. Let you get set up here. Speak Jules. Knowing about it, Austria-Hungary are pretty close to extra-European. Most of the intra-European moving in these countries are Caucasians seeking better living environment, less migrants. Yeah, expats. That's true. I liked living in Austria when I was there in Kufstein. I'm still under consideration for this UN job in Vienna. It's been almost a year since I applied. I keep checking. They're like, no, still under consideration. We haven't filled the position. But my guess is COVID has hurt the ability for them to do the interviews they want and whatnot. Just bodies. IBKR won't let me invest in known unless I'm on margin account, apparently for some reason. That's weird. You can't invest in them with a cash account? So weird. I don't understand why. No Labs has got a pile of cash. Big investors behind them. Yeah. Brian Strange. Oh boy, Gorst. Never thought they'd get rid of that nasty strip club. What is it now? A fireplace shop or something? That's like a flooring place, but it might be a fireplace spot in Gorst. It's something like home improvement related. Yeah. That strip club is long gone. I don't think there are any strip clubs near here anymore. All right. Wheat Wild says Coimbra has an amazing medieval university. Porto is effing awesome. And the 100-foot wave documentary was shot in Nazira on Portugal's Atlantic coast. Yeah, and the Azores, too, are really cool, apparently. Being a person who's lived on lots of islands, I might go to an island. Who knows? Okay. Got 11 minutes, folks, and then I got to run. What else do we got here? Brian Strange. At one point, I remember they had one of like 3 bikini barista shops. Gorst was so skeevy. Oh man, I could talk about how skeevy Gorst is all day. So those bikini shops were owned by a kid that was in my class in high school. Fucking weirdest dude. Absolutely you meet him and you're like, I don't want to spend time with you. You give me the heebie-jeebies. And then he went on to own all these bikini barista stands. And so he tried running for county commissioner as a Democrat because he wanted to relax the rules for bikini barista stands all over the place. And the Democrats were like, we don't want you with us. So then he ran for commissioner as a Republican and just got his ass handed to him. He's still living with his mom, owning bikini barista stands, whatever. And then he became the head of the county Republican Party. And I think he might still be the head of the local county Republican Party But for the last like 15 years, it's all been focused on trying to get bikini barista stands all over the place. And that's his entire political goal. Yeah, some dude from my class that is just all about them bikini barista stands. But, if that's what someone wants to do, more power to them. I had a girl in one of my classes, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and she went from bikini barista to Instagram booty model and was just raking in the dough. She was making like $100,000 a month as like, she'd like put her skin cream next to her butt on her Instagram and make a bunch of money. But it started out with being on some bikini barista. If you guys don't know, there's like drive-through coffee shops, and it started in Washington where these girls will wear like little bikinis or lingerie or like tape on their boobs, and they'll make your coffee for $3, but then these dudes just keep showing up and leaving like $20 and $100 tips all the time, and they make a pile of cash doing that, and it's the weirdest phenomena. And it's started here in Seattle, and because we're coffee crazy, and people apparently like coffee and boobs, so that's what they do here. It's weird. It's a weird world we live in. Felix Pagamo, Warrior Nun was filmed in Spain, town called Puerto Nuevo, close by but not in Portugal. I thought it was in Portugal. Was that so wrong? Maybe that's the stars from Portugal. Yeah, that's what it was. Couldn't remember. But anyways, I like Warrior Nun, and I'm waiting for that second season. American Motors Corporation, it's a living, right? Hey, if I had a rockin' booty, I would gladly get $100,000 a month on Instagram. Why not? More power to you. Use it while you can. She was still in school to become an interior designer, and I'm sure she graduated. And hopefully she took those piles of money she had and she invested it all in GameStop or something, and she's living her best life. I mean, there's lots of those AMC ladies that they're flaunting it. They're on board with the excuse me, on board with the investments, and they'll gladly use their OnlyFans or other methods to get cash and buy stock. More power to them, man. Hey, making money's making money. It's why we're in this thing. We're in it to make some money and win in the end. Succeed and achieve our retirement, hopefully by February. That's our goal. Daphne Berry, what's your favorite art style or subject for painting if you like art? Ooh. I really like the heavy metal kind of brutal Renaissance war paintings. Like Heaven, Hell, going to war, people like ripping each other's heads off and swords going through skulls and stuff like that. I like heavy metal art. If I could afford it, I would have like just carnage paintings all over my house. That's my favorite. That's my favorite form of art. Yeah, that's the way to go. And I just have Death Clock playing at all times after that. Stephen Bevan, have you seen Backed? BAKKT, 160% short interest on TD Ameritrade. Backed. I have not seen Backed. What's Backed got for us? Go boink. Turn off the Google Earth. Nope, turn you off. Not on. Off. Backed. Backed track spend crypto. Backed as a company. Here we go. Stocks at $15 and they're shorted to 160%. Goodness. Are they making money? Earnings date was November 12th. No dividend yet. No dividend date. Not too much listed about them. What are they traded under? They're NASDAQ. Okay. Let's do Backed. Oops. Short interest. It's got 27% here on Fintel. That's still a decent amount. But 170, you say? 160? That might warrant some further investigation. That's a lot of short interest. Okay. Mr. Joe Nod, if brokers can't play hot potato with synthetics, I'll be converted to the just hold strategy. Yeah, they played hot potato for as long as they can, but I think this month a lot of them got stuck holding the bag when the music turned off. That right turn? I'm mixing my metaphors here. Stuck holding the potato when the music turned off. So we're sitting there, and they had to go out and they had to borrow. So the short interest skyrocketed again, and so I think we are back on board, baby. I think this next 2 months are going to be just cuckoo for GME puffs. Wheat Wild, I bet I'm a better off-road driver than you. Possibly. I mean, I did flip my truck in the desert once and almost die. So I had that going for me. But I've never gotten permanently stuck anywhere. I've always gotten myself out by myself when I've been out in the wild. So that's the true test of an off-road driver, is that if you get stuck somewhere 100 miles from civilization, can you get out? And can you Wheat Wild? If you bury your truck in sand up to the doors, can you get out? Do it. All right. William Morgan says there is no buy pressure. They push everything to the dark pools to stop it. Volume is down over 90%. That's why you select lit pools on your Fidelity account and buy through those lit pools. And then you can see it going through, and that can drive buy pressure. Stupid chat. I scroll one little thing and the whole thing just goes whoop all the way back to the bottom. Squamps. I want OnlyFans, but I look like really, really old spaghetti. I need to go back to the gym and then I can open up my OnlyFans. Get myself all swole, ready to go. Because that's what everyone wants to see, is a man in his 40s shirtless. That's everyone's goal. Bum, bum, bum. All right, got one more question here. It's about time for me to run away. Oh, we got one. Everyone's just arguing about DRS right now. They're arguing about DRS, going back and forth. Jeremy Golonka, Houston, do you have the same conviction in AMC as you did 6 months ago? I think MOASS is still happening. MOASS is still happening. AMC will still squeeze. It's not going to squeeze anywhere close to the price point that GME will. My bummer with AMC is the board. The board at AMC they're not the right people to run that company. And I think as AMC investors, we should clean house and put a bunch of apes in there. Because why not? Right? Why not? Why don't we throw a bunch of apes in charge of the board? We've got the voting power. We can do that anytime we want. And we take a bunch of evil-minded apes and we put them in charge of AMC, and we run that company in a way that will get rid of the debt and make everybody a shitload of cash in the process. That's what AMC should be focusing on. And they're doing little things here and there that are kind of like boomers sort of adopting the future, and they haven't quite gotten a hold of it yet. And they're still selling stock and doing things that are not diamond hand. So, yeah. Wheatwild says, that is a true test. I've buried tractors, Jeeps, and all pickups and have to be pulled out only once in my years because Silverados are shit. 3 feet of mud, apparently. It's true. The gnarliest one was, I can show you pictures of it. It took me a long time to get it out, too. What did I call that one? I can't remember what I called it. I'll have to go to the blog here and scroll down to the August 2015. So like a day before I flipped the truck. March, May, June. Oh, September. There we go. That's when I wrote it. It was in September. Okay. I'm gonna. Okay. Just got to do some scrolling here. And it's all the moments with Dentosaurus Rex before I killed myself. Okay, so there is Ghost Hotel. Here is that's the truck dying. There we go. This one was gnarly. I was on basically a cattle trail trying to get to a point where I could ford the Oahe River, and and basically had to traverse a ditch. And that ditch ended up with one wheel very high in the air. I'm an idiot, and I didn't take a good picture of it. So this picture up here, I am literally like 100 miles from anybody. It's probably close to 100 degrees outside. This ditch is probably about 6 feet deep, and this wheel, really hard to see, but this wheel is probably 4 or 5 feet off the ground. So what I had to do was I had to roll a bunch of boulders down this mountain, and I had to collect so many boulders. And I built this pyramid underneath this right rear tire. And I built this pyramid of rock under there, big pile. And then I didn't have a high lift jack with me. I only had a regular jack because I'm an idiot. And so I had to jack up the front right tire as high as I could until that was on that pile of rocks. And then put a bunch of pile of rocks under the lifted right tire. Another set of pile. Basically, I just had to comb this entire desert for about 8 to 10 hours collecting boulders and putting them under various tires until I could build up that entire ditch and get out. And then there was like 3 more ditches like that that washed out this cattle trail I was on. And so then I had to basically empty out my truck of all my camping gear, take the piles of rocks I just made, fill up the back of the truck, drive, dump them into the ditch, and then make enough so I could drive over the ditches. And it took me forever to get out of this place. And you can see why I call it Dentosaurus Rex, because I have dents and scrapes, and it has sheet metal because I do not. That's the title of one of those blog articles. But if you want to read all about it, copy that, throw that in the chat. Boom, boom. There, links in the chat if you want to read about it. You folks have a great day. I've got to get running. I'll see you Wednesday, probably around the same time or so, for the last day of Shiny Shirt Week and the reveal of this year's Movember mustache that I reveal on December 1st every year. And I'll catch you guys later. I got to go visit with some family, take care of some things. I also have to do more stuff with the grade books for my students. And yeah. All right. You ready? You ready for it? This is what you've been waiting for. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.